Guys, this is Laura, Florida Patriot 71, and it is the 9th of March, and I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, I am going to do some dog stuff towards the end of the video because I want to end on a positive note, and there's some of the things I want to say about. Number one, I wanted to talk about the frequency thing that we were talking about yesterday, and I wanted to add that I think it is really important to put positive out there, to keep positive thoughts in your head, and to visualize where you want to be, not where you are, and where you could wind up, you know, for some negative force or something. That I think we should always be looking towards positive and seeing positive in what we have. And you know, I live in a little teeny house, and its plumbing is terrible and the electrical is terrible. There's not enough room, but I count my blessings every day because it's someplace my dogs can have the freedom of a yard, and I can afford it, kinda. My dad can afford it right now, but I can afford it kinda when I'm working. And I just try to be positive every day with what I have. I'm able to have a little garden, you know what I mean? There's a lot I'm able to have here. That I came from a one-bedroom apartment, and this is a blessing to me. And no, it's not a big, beautiful home like my mom's or my, you know, it's not. Like, I'm definitely the black sheep of the family and lowest on the income totem pole. So anyway, I wanted to just say, I think putting something positive out there and seeing something positive and everything is just such a good thing for us. And for, you know, I have had a serious issue with worrying about this cancer all the time, and, you know, what I have to do before I go, and, you know, all this stuff. And I just want to be positive because I do agree that I heard somewhere worry is just praying for what you don't want, and that's so true. Like, we can't keep those negative thoughts in our heads. We have to make sure we're thinking positive all the time. And you know, I know there's a lot negative going on in the world, or maybe that you don't agree with, certainly that I don't agree with, but you know, finding the positive things out of these and lessons we can learn, and doing research so we understand, not necessarily consumed with it either, because I do tend to listen to research all day, you know, documentaries. I listen to people reading things to me that I need to be read, that while I'm working. Like, I do, you know what I mean? I do a lot of research, and sometimes that can bog you down, and I just think it's real important to stay lifted up. I also wanted to talk about Biden and this presidency. I feel like this has gone really weird. Like, this has gotten really strange. Nobody sees activity at the White House. Nobody sees Biden, you know, and when you do, he's like clamoring all over himself. Can't keep track what's going on or where he is, and it's just really bad. And my thought is that they just put him up there to get elected, to get anyone to believe that they voted democratically. It had to be somebody they knew. It couldn't be just Kamala Harris, because nobody knew her. I mean, as much. So they had to put a big figurehead there, so that's what they did with Biden. And Kamala Harris is really going to be the one who, they're just waiting to announce that he's infirm and can't do the job in some way, I'm sure. I mean, I just feel like there's no other choice. This guy can't do it. Like, the energy Donald Trump has, Biden has about 0.1% of that. Like, that's, you know, I have to say, Donald Trump was on his game, and he was very informative to the public, and I like that about him. I thought him speaking directly to us through his tweets and such was a good thing. I feel like we're letting people get canceled in this world that don't need to be canceled. Like, I heard Florida banks wouldn't even have his money in their bank. Like, how crazy is that? He was the president. He did nothing wrong and was never committed of any crimes or anything. I mean, Russia was all BS. The second one was all BS. Like, how can they do that? That is discrimination. Like, that's serious discrimination. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I just wanted to add my 2 cents on that. I also wanted to talk about the Capitol building and how they are keeping the fence and keeping the troops there. And I honestly think, guys, it's because, you know, the fence was moved to the other side of the road. I don't think they want to have any cameras. That's why they did all this. They don't want to have any cameras near that building. They don't want to have, you know, of reporters and such. And they don't want to have, they want to have it enclosed. Now, my thinking is they're going to be bringing in people in buses, maybe, like us, you know, because of this domestic terrorism thing, because now I'm one. I don't know how I could terrorize anyone because clearly I can't even walk that far. But hey, we'll just go with it. I mean, I've been labeled so many things in life that I really don't care. And call me whatever they want. I know what I am. So anyway, that was my thoughts on the Capitol building thing. I really think there's going to be much more to be revealed and much more to be seen in the future. And I think it's going to be really quick. I think that the shortages are going to start showing up really. Listen, I went to the grocery store the other day, 2, and couldn't get the brand of orange juice I usually get. And I live in Florida. And I get all my orange juice and my oranges from California. I know, makes no sense, but that's exactly where my stuff comes from. I'm not lying. So just wanted to say that I think these shortages are real and it's coming. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to play into it. It's going to be, you might be able to get the things, but I think they're going to be priced out of a lot of people's reach. And this is another decimation to the middle class. I think we're going to have to be spending a way bigger percentage on food than we usually do. And I think that's coming rapidly. So once again, I'm going to be another person to tell you, get it while the getting's good, because pretty soon the getting ain't going to be good anymore. And fresh things that you use fresh, think of other alternatives, start growing them yourselves, whatever it is. We're going to have to do our part for ourselves and take personal responsibility here and feed ourselves. Like, you know, we all know that all these, there's already too many enough channels on how you can grow food in small areas and apartments and so forth. So there's really no excuse for any of us not to have something growing, you know, something we can feed our, you know, families if something happened. Because I can tell you what a lot of preppers are going to do. When we get priced out, we're just going to turn to our available stock. And I'm sorry, but I think it's going to be a lot longer that we're going to need that stock available than we think. Like, I would have 2 years on hand. I know that sounds crazy, but I just would have enough. I would have enough preps. And when I get this stimulus check, I am going to be investing in more power, alternatives, other things that I need, more medical kits. I'm actually going to go to Bear Independent and get one of his or 2 of his medical kits. I think it's everything you need and nothing you don't. That's what he says all the time. That's funny. Anyway, going on from I know it's a lot of topics, and I know I'm going through them fast, but I don't feel the greatest today, and I wanted to come out and do something, because I sometimes get in a rut of not doing things too. So I just wanted to push myself a little bit further here this morning. I also wanted to talk about my introduction to going to Useless Eater in 5 minutes. Like, I went from making money to being a drag on the system overnight. You know, I've never had to turn to the state for anything. And now I'm in a situation where, you know, and I think they are targeting the infirm, the old, and the people who are not producing in society. I really do. And I do think we're trying to, and still are targeting the baby boomers. I keep seeing this on Florida Maquis, and it really is, I really disagree with him on this point, is that we should not be lining old people up to get this experimental. I mean, anytime you say it to someone, you say experimental, because people are forgetting that. This has not been actually approved. It's been approved for emergency use because so many people are dying. I mean, come on. I think that the, Kill the State also reiterated what Stephen Bannon's wife, Lana, I think it is, did the interview with the guy. I live right by an airport, so I'll wait a second. Mrs. Bannon, let's say, did this interview. I think it was a woman actually about this, or maybe she just did it herself. I think that's what she did, about this information of what this vaccine can actually cause. And this is really scary stuff, guys. I definitely recommend you check out the article that she cites and the research she cites, because it's there and it's there. This is happening. So I think giving this thing a rush and giving it to the weakest and most infirm of us is just getting rid of them. They're just going to get rid of them. I mean, this is made for another step. Anything that Bill Gates is involved in is honestly, he's ruining it. I mean, and that goes, he's in every part. We can't get this guy out of our lives. I don't care what you do. Like, how crazy is that? He has literally no education. He's just, and he did not develop. Anyway, I won't go into that. You guys know all this. But I went to Useless Eater in about 5 minutes. And now it's different when you look at it from that side, when you had no control. Like, it's one thing if I just choose to sit on my ass and not produce for myself, but that's not the deal. Like, I didn't choose this or want this or any of this. And all of us are going to get old, guys. Nobody's going through this life not aging and getting old and dying. We all are. And, I think we're all going to hit that point where we're useless eaters. And it's a big emotional crush, I feel more horrible about that than the cancer. Like, you know what I mean? I like to be, honestly, I have to admit that I was the perfect worker bee before I got, aware of what was going on and the hive mind, so to speak. I used to always say I'm a good Indian. I never wanted to be the chief. I was just a good Indian. How sad is that? And that's exactly what they've bred us for. I mean, really, that's what they want out of us. Just put your head down, do your job, shut up, don't be different, don't think outside the box, the whole deal. So, the other thing I wanted to say about the virus is I'm immunity compromised. I don't wear a mask anywhere. Well, the other day, I wanted to go to the post office, and we're in Florida, which has some of the loosest restrictions. I had to go to 2 post offices, because the first one wouldn't serve me without a mask. The second one wouldn't serve me without a mask. I finally had to take their stupid mask, put it on, so I could get some freaking stamps and envelope and mail this thing back to I was mailing something to the DMV. So, it just gets to the point where they force you into something that is not a law. How do they do that? And here I am, like, weak as shit, trying to go to, you know what I mean? Like, it was already hard enough on me. Even walking into a place, I have to stop and rest. Like, this isn't easy for me right now to go places. Like, I don't go very much because it's just too hard on me. But anyway, I wanted to add that 2 cents that they push us into their ridiculous thought pattern. I even said to the guy, you're not stopping anything with that mask. Like, I don't know. I'm getting to the point now where I'm too tired to argue and too sick to argue. So I did comply, and I hated it. So anyway, I wanted to talk about the ridiculous virus and I also wanted to say something about the racial things that they try to drum up. It's all, everybody hate everybody. Like, it's getting ridiculous. And this Mr. Potato Head shit, what's next? You know what I mean? Mr. Coffee. Like, who's on the block next? It's so stupid. It's and Dr. Seuss? Seriously? This stuff's got to go. There's just a group sitting around in their offices paid by these dumbasses to think of more shit that we can compile our minds with and not pay attention to what's really going on. I mean, is this what we have to spend time on? Dr. Seuss? Let's move on. China's a real threat. Russia's a real threat. Like, we have real threats going on right now. We are bombing places. But we're sitting around worried about Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. Come on, man. Do you really want it to be Mrs. Potato Head? Look at the thing. I don't. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the dogs. That's why I wanted to do it at the end, because it's actually a really light note and I enjoy it. So there you go. Okay, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today, just some basic 101 stuff. For the dog training videos, I'm actually going to have to get my husband to hold the camera, because what I have is an iPhone 8 and a laptop, and I don't have a way to do this in front of you unless I get his help. So the first thing I want to talk about is the collar you should use for training. The collar that you have on your dog for every day or in-house or whatever is not the same thing you want to use for training. What you want to use for training is one of these. It's just got the thing on one end, thing on the other end, and you drop it through. Now the reason why you want to use this collar is because a lot of he wants his collar back. I took his collar off and he's all upset about it. Anyway, when you use these collars for training, when you're training your dog, you want to do quick pulls, not like pulling them and pulling them. You just do the quick corrections, and that's why this chain will work best for you for training. And it's a little bit of a sharper correct, so they really know they did something. A lot of times the bands that you, or the collars that you put on your dog are like, you know, yay wide and whatnot. When you pull that, it's not really much correction to it. You know, you're more just like, you know, anyway, guiding them rather than correcting them. So you do want to use a collar that has the slip. I have seen cloth ones, which is what I'm going to get for Levi, because I feel like this is, on him, is kind of thin. And I feel like I'm getting old and I get weak in my old age, because I never thought of this with another dog I trained, but I feel like it might be hurting him too much to do that. So anyway, that's me. But they do have cloth ones. I think they're called morning collars or something like that. And they have a slip in them. They do have the slip system, and they're wider if your dog is small or, you know, more dainty or whatever. But I do recommend having some kind of choke collar, you know, that you can do the quick corrections with. As for a leash, you just want to have something that's comfortable for you and comfortable for them. You want to have it maybe be at least 4 or 5 foot long, maybe even 6, you know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to walk out in front of your dog when you start doing stay command, and walk out in front of them a few feet and still be on a leash, and then you start taking them off the leash for stay. So that goes over collar, and that goes over the leash. Now the other thing is treats. You should have something that doesn't take your dog long to consume. Like when I was growing up, my mom always bought cow's liver, cut it up, because you can cut it in the perfectly small. They have things like this now on the market. And so there's like a little teeny liver slice or something like that. Something that's a small treat. You don't want to be giving your dog pounds of food while you're training them, because you want to be able to treat them quite frequently. The other thing is, if you have a dog, like I know one of you has a lot of shepherds. I think it's Kickman. I don't know how you say your name or you know, names are hard for me on YouTube because they're like all over the place, but I think it's Kickman. And you have shepherds. And I will say there are a lot of dogs that you could just do praise with, especially shepherds. Shepherds are so, they want to please their owners so much. And they are, one of the most owner-loving dogs there are. So praise goes a long way. Or if you have a dog like I do that has allergies, and you don't want to give them all kinds of treats, and you want to be able to just stick with praise, I recommend going a little overboard. Like, I sound silly when I train a dog, and you'll see, but you know, you go overboard with the praise and you let them know when they mess up. I don't believe in, you know, beating a dog, you know what I mean? That you're not going to beat them into training. You're not going to do it. They have to want to do this with you. This has to be a time that they look forward to. Levi loves it when I get his leash out. He's like all ready to go. And the other thing I wanted to say about the leash thing is, if you have a dog that you've never really had to walk or leash train, and they're not even, you know, you're just starting there, like you just haven't even put really a leash on them, or not as enough for them to respect it or anything like that, the first thing I would do is just get the leash and hook it to them. Let them walk around. If they're like one of those dogs that's like with a leash or whatever, just let them walk around with it loose. Don't even hold on to it. Just let them get comfortable with that leash on them so that they don't hate it too. You know, even put it on them while you're doing fun stuff like throwing a ball. You know what I mean? Really, in your yard, throw a ball with a leash on them and let them drag it behind them so that they just don't feel that negative. You don't ever want them to feel negative about their training time or negative about you on the other end of that leash or whatever. So you start in small steps and praise them all the way. Praise them all the way. When they do something that's what you're asking, you go absolutely nuts for them. You know what I mean? Like there's no other dog in the world. So that's a couple of things you can start with without, you know, I don't need to show you that. You guys can do that. Oh, and the other thing that goes with the praise or treats, you want to get to know your dog's characteristics. Like if you have a mutt like I do, then you try to, you know, take the major 2 breeds you can see in them and research those breeds and what their characteristics are, because every breed has different characteristics. And I see it so much as my nose is just right. I see it so much as a dog person that boards them and everything. It's so funny because breeds that I haven't personally owned, I see all the little characteristics. They're exactly the same the next one I get. Like, it's just really neat. They do. They all have their own personalities, their own little quirks, each breed, and what they're good for and what they're not. Like, that way you know not to expect something that isn't commonly in them. You know, that you might need to work harder to get to them. Like, herding breeds are excellent for training because they want to listen to they're bred for that. They're bred for, you know, and they're bred for like a couple 100 yards, you know, hand signals. That's what they're bred for. Yeah, and setting your dog up for the best results, like especially starting out, you know, like I said the other day about taking them like to a park with distractions and such, you first need to get them under control in your own yard. You know what I mean? In your own domain where you know you're not going to lose them or run or whatever or act a fool, you know. And knowing and setting them up to, like if they have too many distractions going on and you're trying to train them and they haven't had this information before, you can just forget it. You know, if you don't ever take your dog to the park and the first time you go to train him, you take him to the park, not going to work. Take them to the park for a walk first. You know what I mean? You got to start small. You got to start at the very beginning with a dog. You got to remember, you're training them from, and having your dog listen. And I mean, it's gonna be life or death. Like if you can't shut your dog up, what are you gonna do? I mean, you shoot your dog? Like, what are you gonna do? You have to think of these things now. Like, what are you gonna do if you have so much to carry you can't hold your dog on a leash? I mean, it's just that one more thing you can't get. Like, you know, we all know these situations, and even if it's a natural disaster like a hurricane here in Florida, and you have to go to another location with your dog who's never been out of the house before, it's all going to be so new and so crazy. Like, we all need to give them experiences now while we have control of the situation, because there's going to be a day you won't have that control. And you want your dog to be able to look at you and a certain hand movement and then do what you're told, because you're not going to be able to, hey, come, Buster, come. It's not going to be like that. You're going to have your dog listen. At least I think so. I think this is a part of my preps, believe it or not, that's weak. Like, I haven't gone to off leash with them. You know, like there's places, that's why I want to focus on this with you guys, because it'll help me get my dogs where they should be as well. because I have got to have them be under control. My Asher's 110 pounds, and moving forest, that dog is stronger than crap. If somebody knocks on the door right now and I don't know they're coming, so I don't restrain him first, I can't answer the door. I mean, he's that big. I cannot pull him out of the way to answer the door. I mean, I'm just not that strong yet. Like, I'm really still pretty weak, you know, and I'm doing all the exercises and the arm bands and the, look guys, my whole day is focused on what I can do next to make myself in better shape. That's what my whole day is focused on. And then that's why I get so upset when I do have bad days, because I feel like I lose ground. You know, every day that I have to sit again all day, I lose ground. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose any ground. You know, they say it takes 3 days for every one that you're down to get better. I was down. I was actually down for 8 or 9 months. Then I couldn't get up and didn't get up. So that's 9 months I withered to shit. When I got out of the hospital, I couldn't open my own water bottles. I mean, I couldn't open. It's ridiculous. I can't tear things. Like all these things that use all the muscles in your hands, when you don't do them for so many, I mean, I literally, plus I was so skinny. My body was literally eating itself. I mean, I just had I had no strength, no nothing. I came from zero, and it is taking, I mean, I've been out of the hospital, let's see, it was the end of October, so November, December, January, February. I've been out of the hospital 4 months now, and I'm just now getting to be able to take a walk. You know, outside. And that's why my mom actually bought my iWatch, because I don't have that kind of money. But it was because when I first got out of the hospital, they wanted to get me Life Alert. Because my husband had to go to work, and I was too weak to be alone. And that's really true. I couldn't get to the bath. I mean, I was too weak to be alone. So my mom would come and stay with me, and then when she felt like I was better enough not to, but she still was worried about me, she got this instead, because this has the same thing, only it has a whole bunch more stuff that I don't even know how to do. But anyway, I can wear it in the shower and when I take a walk, and if I fall or something happens, I can at least call someone. But anyway, I'm giving you TMI, huh? So anyway, I think that wraps up everything I wanted to say to you guys today. I am gonna link a video down below, and I can't remember why. It's one of the subjects I talked about though. So I'm going to link her video down below. It's Never Lose Truth. I don't know if any of you guys watch her. She's a lot about the climate BS that's going on, and she shows you where they are literally guiding and directing these storms, and it's so true. I mean, a lot of you watch, what is it, who is it, Mike Morales, that does the forecast and shows you all the grids they make with it's ridiculous, guys. I don't know, we've got to do something. I feel like that's how I'm getting myself in better shape. I've got to find some way to be active in this cure, because the world is really sick and we need to clean it up. And the boomers let it go, and they are some of them, I will say some of them, because I know there's some boomers that are just like me, and I'm Gen X, so I'm right behind you, and I let things go too, and I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I'm done with letting it go and saying, oh, I can't do anything, so I'm not going to listen to it or worry about it. No, we all need to be listening to it. We all need to be worried about it, because it's coming. And if you have a kid or a grandkid, it's coming. So anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you have a good day. And if I feel okay later when my man gets home, I will do the beginner class. The beginning of the beginner class for training. I love you guys. Everybody have a great day, and I hope I see you soon.